Black and Chicano liberation. This program is being sponsored this evening by Unity Newspaper and Black Nation Magazine. Unity is a progressive revolutionary newspaper. Black Nation is a high-quality culture, political magazine that deals with the struggles of the Afro-American people. Can everyone hear me back there? I just want to make sure. Did I mean heard? Unity was being given out at the door, so if you didn't get one free, there's free editions going out this evening. I've followed Unity newspaper ever since I was in college as a mechista. I always thought that as college students, we're always told you have, let these new ideas come in and then you analyze them and think about them on your own and you make your own decision. I feel Unity's given that to myself. For myself, I feel that Unity's been able to give out the most progressive perspective on working people, the struggles of working people. Currently, Unity is doing articles on the Jackson campaign. And you all know that the LA Times and the Herald are really giving him a bad time. And there's an introductory offer that Unity is offering at this time. There's a special introductory rate that goes for $8 a year for the year and $5 for 6 months. It's an introductory issue, and they're going to be at the back table. I'd like to welcome everyone again, bienvenidos a todos esta noche, to the celebration of Black and Chicano liberation. We need unity, we need more unity among Black and Chicano people within our movement. We can learn from each other's struggle and move forward in the spirit of unity. We're lucky tonight to have two great compañeros, culture workers, political activists, Alurista and Amiri Baraka, two of the foremost poets of our time, who are leaders who have contributed to the growth and the development of our movement. This evening we have some music who will be played to us by Manchaka Uva, who is a pianist, and Glenn Hariuchi have collaborated closely over the last years. Manchuka Uva occupies a significant place in the history of Afro-American music. He's a founding member of the Chicago Historic Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians. When he's not touring in Europe and the US, he resides in San Diego, where he works with many of the leading jazz artists in the area. Glenn Horiuchi is a pianist and a composer performing on jazz and the Asian American music scene for over 10 years. He draws his music freely from John Coltrane and jazz folk melodies. They both are going to be starring in the next debut album that's called Next Step. But without any further ado, I'd like to give a welcoming to Machuca Uva and Glenn Horiochi. Moratorium against the Vietnam War. He was a founding member of MECHA in San Diego and founded the first Chicano Studies program in the country at San Diego State University. He has initiated La Verdad, the first Chicano newspaper in San Diego, and was an author of El Plan Espiritual de Aztlán. I'd like to welcome Alurista.
Bueno, con introducciones como esas, you know, they make you feel taller, you know, and I need that. Para mí, venir aquí a Los Angeles is a real homecoming. I'm not from Los. I'm a homeboy in San Diego, but Los Angeles has a lot of memories in my heart and in my mind. The first memory that comes immediately is August 29 in the Chicano Moratorium days. Logan Heights, that's right, Logan Heights. I'd like to begin my reading today with a little meditation. One of the things that I'm reputed for, that people think of me when they read my work or when they hear the name, is that I play with myth and mythology and metaphysics. I'd like to begin with a little meditational poem, a mantra of sorts. How many of you know what a mantra is? Mantra is a set of sounds that gets us in touch, in tune with the cosmos, that allows us to be one with the universe. In that spirit, I'd like to begin my reading. I didn't bring any bells today, so what I'll do is I'll go tiling, tiling, at which point I would like you to take a deep breath, feel your spinal column, think of your spinal column as a bow, right? Inhale deeply and hold your breath until I go tiling, tiling again. The mantra is very short. You will not lose your breath there, ¿verdad? If you are crossing your legs, please uncross them. If you have anything on your knees or in your hands, please put it down on the floor, on the ground, on the side. Place your palms on your thighs. Don't play with yourselves. Are we ready? Let's do a dry run here without the mantra. I'll go tiling, tiling. We'll close our eyes and take a deep, deep breath, and we'll hold it in. Feel that bow in our spinal column. And then when I go tiling, tiling again, we will let the arrow go. Okay? This is a dry run. You're crossing your legs. Tiling, tiling. Tiling, tiling. Let that arrow go. Okay. We're ready for the mantra now, right? Tiling, tiling. Poindexter, Miss and North are ingrown polyps on Ronnie's nose. Inflamed Noriega, his prostate leaketh. Bush must be defoliated. Tiling, tiling. So much for metaphysics, right? This next poem is a poem that I'd like to share with you, because it's the first poem that I ever wrote from a child's point of view. And I think it's important to sometimes look at the world from a child's point of view, because that kind of innocence and that kind of sincerity sometimes is lost. And at a time in the kinds of times that we find ourselves in, we don't find too many sincere people out there. Jackson being one of them, and in his honor I read this poem. A sincere person. Allá fuera. Why? Why am I here?
Why he's out there, Mama? I want to go play.
No, mijo, tiene que trabajar.
¿Por qué, Mama? Yo también, yo quiero.
No, mijo, usted no puede, no debe.
Mamá, yo quiero jugar, quiero vivir allá afuera.
No, mijo, allá afuera no, no con los niños, no con los del patrón.
Mama, why?
Pues así lo quiso Diosito.
Mama, I seen you cry and tired, and we go to church on Sundays, and Father Josué say Diosito love us, and he say we're gonna be happy when we die. Why, Mama? Usted dice que mañana está re lejos. Usted dice que la pizca se recoge hoy. Mama, tell me why we gotta wait, why we gotta die to be happy.
Pues así lo quiso Diosito, mijo.
Why, Mama? Why? I want to be out there. I want to go play today, now, allá afuera.
No, mijo, tiene que trabajar. Usted no puede, usted no debe. No allá afuera. Órale pues, a trabajar, mijo.
Está bien, Mama. Can I peek and see them play?
This next poem is a poem that dates back to that event that the police called Chicano riot, that La Raza called a police riot, and that I called a danza, a dance, ¿verdad? Danza leonina. Zipping through concrete, telarañas, metallic hands turn to centipedes, and bright lights darken the ojos of one who sees the neon and towers of smoking oil refineries of Los Angeles muertos. Muertos en la tarde de agosto. The mice was trampled by dogs, and many birds took flight in the maze. The crying, cursing winds of northern islands in the summer walk again on earth and sing of peace and carnalismo, de raíces terrenales, proveniente de fecundo vientre. Man, woman stands and walks again on earth to listen with plantas descalzas to the murmuring caress of Mother Earth's latidos. She gave us birth and blood, and for the sun we have sacrificed hasta los huesos tostados en los desiertos de la incandescencia del Señor Padre Sol. We have marched, we have migrated, walked the distance of our lives in lonely stroll below the moongloom of the night as cherry-headed armored ants wail in the night of fire and smoke, splashing mud on sidewalk and walls, rushing to the hunt, belly clubbed, gas masked, shotgun, panting breaths, se chorrean de muerte de gusto, se chorrean de muerte de gusto, de muerte, retiring at dawn to the beer-canned existence of idiot box stairs, waiting for the prowling sunset of another asphalt telaraña ride, riding over brotherhood, danza, riding over sisterhood, danza, riding over justice, danza, riding over peace, danza de plantas encueradas, danza de raza, danza de barro, danza de espíritu, danza de bronce, danza, 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 danza. This next piece is entitled Borinquen, and it's about Borinquen, it's about Puerto Rico. I see Puerto Rico, or Borinquen, which is the original name of that land, as the other wing of the Caribbean. There's a great big bird flying in that Caribbean sea. But that Caribbean bird, that huge eagle, that condor, if we want to call it that, is flapping with only one wing, and that wing is Cuba. The other wing is Puerto Rico, Borinquen. The self-determination and independence of Puerto Rico is imminent, and in that spirit, I offer this poem.
Borinquen que sabe el amor, Borinquen que tú tienes color, Borinquen tú que tienes la voz, Borinquen tú que sabe el dolor, Caribe rice and black beans. Caribe rice and Caribe coming. Caribe con, mon. Back from the bones, back from the stones, mon. Caribe coming right, coming left, cutting through the loans. Caribe cutting through the credit and the left cuqueo of a rick and drum. En Puerto Vallarta, 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 bro. Where the ejido warrior who met Howard missed the Hughes over a gallon of agua y caña. Ever clear presence of airplane con las nalgas en el cielo. Con las nalgas en el cielo, bro. Vallarta tú con el credit. A colony of ice cream parlors and wadded walleted señores. Vallarta tú, satiate, bro. Satiate, saturate, bro. Dromeando, bro. Cungueando, bro. Dromeando, dromas con gas, bromas con gas. With flauta wind ripping through the lamppost jungle. Mercury light flashing neon down, cutting through briskly cross the light of day, dawning on the wall. Shadows disappearing in the rhythm and the round roll and the rolling and the rock and the stone that lies beneath the sun. With warrior feathers, thunder cracks and the birth of bloody clouds, and oil hovers and oil settles, and the heads of state the thirst, and the black gold is pumped, and the thirst of the state don't satiate with the gold. The black earth pangs and stomachs, volcanoes, huracanes and snows, freeze miners and field hands. Many a man, a woman looking now straight ahead, half dead. There ain't no looking back. History burns red torches in the night, and working people sweat throughout the land, throughout Aztlán, sin fronteras. No more fences, no more titles, no more nationality based on property, no more papers to show face, no more cards to cut the space. Bellies got to eat, and many don't yet swallow powdered milk, nor do they know how to stand in line or otherwise collect food as stamps. They rather move and put their hands and heart to work for pinto beans and jalapeno cheese. Can you dig it, man? Can you dig it, man? Is it necessary? Is it necessary? Diamonds, I mean, man. And gold, is it necessary to have? Is it more necessary? I glean, have been, being. Is it to be a? Can you tell me that, a, Mr. C? Next piece is entitled Scratching 6, Plucking 1. And this was taken right off of the news. This particular poem actually made it to KPBS as a kind of, instead of MTV, it was poetry and television. There were 4 poets featured in Torn in Two, which is the name of the video. It was shown all over the United States for 3 years, and it won an Emmy Award. This is the poem that was read in that particular set, Scratching 6, Plucking 1. I play the part of a newscaster, and it has different voices. Scratching the belly button of an armadillo, plucking melodies, crouch cross-legged while the rain rages on trees uprooted along cars frozen, coffins swim by. Oil spilled, spurt tankers sink, dead fish float, baited, gasping out asphalt territoriality, and settler colonies squat parking lots by the Sinai's roar. Thunder can carve no peace tablets or commandments over troubled waters. The Egyptians offered drowns while Palestinians watch in silence. The faithful caress weeping walls, plucking about pain. Muhammad. Need we mention nation, bloated bellies, barren lands? Surely Moses cradles nightmares of black gold in the towers, pumping planets' blood, human sweat, sweet life in spasms. World treaties reserving space, earth reserves, reservations just the same to store atomic waste and unsundry chemical poisons. A way for zillions of years round years of order and law to be the energy crises. A way onto its carcass. In the meantime, time takes toll. And space is occupied. Peacetime tabled. Talks will continue pending the next sale of arms. As the bell clangs, both blocks before nuclear holocaust will get the tragic pleasure of fitting the casket second or first, as the bell may cling or clang. Pending the next sale of arms, the world shall resume its national and rational contentions. The third world that is, each to its own, in spite of world and respite to disarming plunder, war shall commence as scheduled. And casualties will be kept to suffice in energy war, the last war to be sure, worth every consumer in the U.S. of A. You, crouch, cross-legged, chance to the thunder rage, scratching the belly button of an armadillo shell, plucking pain. You, out of plunder pangs, USA, us, Aztlán, the land, sky, and consciousness, carve struggle, cross the classes, cross the bosses, cross the armies, cross the borders, cross the rivers, cross the rivers, cross, cruise, cruise, cruise at that fear. Now bury that fear. Post it. Post it. No disturb the bones of past suns. Radiation may be fatal. Sphinx. Question. What make the world go round and round in war, contention, pretension, extension, intention? Question. What make the world go round and round in prevarication, ali, preoccupation, occupation, colonization, mortification? Question. What make the world go round and round in preposition dians? The word of treaties has betrayed verbs with empty nouns as nominations, classifications, nations, alienations, nations of aliens. Question. What make the world go round and round? Answer. Work, work, work make the world go round and round. Question. Who own the work that make the world go round and round? Notice, notice, God's your landlord. God's your landlord, soon be around. Thou shalt be charged upon vacating the premises. Warning, do not disturb for fixtures or other renewal work. Weather your own voyage. Out for light years. Sign, yep, the Lord. Moral, moral. When landlord absent, make manager munch music and cast broad bread. This next little piece is entitled Southwestern Trek in 4-part harmony. And the Southwestern has, the Southwest in the United States, what is really occupied north of Mexico, ¿verdad? ¿O que no? It has become a very popular place, and we find people from all over the United States coming into the Southwest, particularly the so-called Four Corners area, looking to find the Indian roots of the Southwest, and going into the Indian reservations and the various ancient Anasazi cultural centers in the Southwest. And there are also some missions to look at. So I thought I would write a little poem about that, Southwestern Trek in 4-part harmony. First movement. Could I have $1? Could I have $1? The sun peeks behind the camera, focusing to capture those racing black sun almond eyes and hustling grin. An old man at the age of 7. Dark clouds cloak the sky. I wear a Saguayo Mexican hat. Little Floyd asks then if he can have my Stetson. You can keep the feathers, I got some myself. Our heads are roughly the same size, so are our feet. I'll trade it for your boots, I say to him with a smirk. It's gonna drizzle tonight, little Floyd whittles out and disappears on the dust of his rebuilt Huffy bike. Second movement. Oh, those wonderful, wonderful kids, one says with gleeful superficiality. They remind me of my nephews. I bet your nephews wouldn't come up to a stranger and ask for $1. Oh no, they wouldn't. She snaps back with self-importance. Do you know why they wouldn't? Well, they were raised by 2 school teachers. You're equivocated, I say to her, carefully and ironically enunciating the Sunday word I am hurling at her. You are equivocated. I beg your pardon? They wouldn't go up to a complete stranger and ask for $1 because they have $1 or 2. Briskly, she walks away clutching her recently acquired squash blossom sterling cast necklace to her heart. Inside the Pueblo Mission, a lecture awaits. Myth is easier to handle than class. Third movement. It wasn't hard to find my spot. A small clearing surrounded by piñón trees glowed with my colors. The hues were friendly. The dusk was more like ashes than it was embers, or the crack between two worlds. The campfire crackled with murmured voices. Rain clouds hovered around the Suni Mountains mesquite. Rain trickled gently and warm this evening. This very dew, exactly 40 years after the first A-bomb test, White Sands, New Mexico, remains a ghost. White House still posits limited nuclear warfare as a plausible defense. The piñón tree knows not. Fourth movement. Grasshopper, grasshopper, grasshopper. Shaolin master whispers thunder. When in search for epiphany in Aztlan, make sure you leave some stones unturned. These may be radioactive. Make head roll and fall out. When they broadcast about others what they emanate themselves. Sas. This next piece is entitled this next piece is entitled Tango Malvino, and how many of you know how to speak in Spanish? You mean the rest of you are culturally depraved? Deprived? I'll read it in glyph then. So you decodify it. Okay, this poem again is entitled Last Tango Views in English. And it's a poem that about an actual event, the first World Conference on Hunger. The Secretary of Agriculture in the United States was interviewed, and something like what transpires in this poem took place. The poem has, again, different voices. One of the things that I'm discovering in my work today is the use of different voices. Sometimes the poet gets so hung up on his or her own persona that nos ensimismamos and we begin to take ourselves too seriously. So one of the ways in which I afford myself the opportunity of not allowing that to happen is by multiplying myself in schizophrenic ways and producing more personas than I had ever imagined myself. This is Last Tango Views. Question. Secretary of Agriculture, sir, given the present technological industrial state, is it feasible to say that the United States of America can end hunger, can feed the world? News. Millions of gallons of milk will be emptied into the sea this year. This year, thousands of agri-farms will receive subsidies in order not to farm. This year, megatons of cheese will end up in the caves. This year, the number of tractors assembled shall be curtailed. This year, the production of canned food will be reduced. This year, more weapons will be sold than food. Secretary of Agriculture. Well. The problem is rooted in the proliferation of third world people. It is necessary to sterilize poor nations, such as those in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. A Hindi. Our children are our Cebus and our tractors. A large family allows us to till more land. Even so, we like good seed and organic fertilizers. Our children are our television and our social security. Question. Can the United States end world hunger, Secretary of Agriculture? Secretary of Agriculture. Well. We must end communism, put an end to overproduction. We must definitely end with idleness. We must terminate guerrillas. Sex must be abolished. News. Millions die of hunger in the third world. Agrarian reform suffers still from paralysis. The corn-fed North American cows could nourish the entire planet. Dogs eat better in the US of A than any citizen in the third world. The cost of a nuclear warhead would land a tractor within the reach and use of every Asian, African, and Latin American small farm, diesel and all. Question. Without beating around the bush this time, Secretary of Agriculture, sir, please answer the question, yes or no. Secretary of Agriculture. Well, well, well. The problem is rooted in corruption. We must terminate corruption. We must terminate drug trafficking. We must terminate insurgency. We must terminate natality. We must terminate. We must terminate. We must terminate. Question. Secretary of Agriculture, please simply answer yes or no. Can the United States end world hunger? Yes or no? Well, of course. As they say in Latin America, si, señor, if the price is right. Slogans: produce food, produce weapons, not food. War on sale, extinguish sex. Feed them bullets, there will be no bread. Meditation: end hunger or terminate man. Liberty, community, and bread or bombs? Just us or justice? This next poem is entitled Two More Poems, and I'll leave your minds and hearts alone. Tremble Purple is the title of this small book. Some of the books that I'm reading from tonight are for sale in the back, and I don't charge taxes. Anyway, and you get blue chip stamps. Tremble Purple is a poem about Nicaragua, and one thing is to write a poem about Nicaragua and read it in the United States, and another thing, a very, very different thing, is to go to Nicaragua, Managua, and to read that very same poem in front of Nicaraguan Sandinistas and in front of the Sandinista army, right? Así que that's where the title came from. I was trembling purple. There are, again, several voices in this poem. How many of you have ever been arrested? Ay, todos son santitos, ¿verdad? Anyway, when you get arrested, there's always a good guy and a bad guy, right? You got the good cop and you got the bad cop, right? The bad cop comes around and he pushes you around, beats you around, and and he comes around and he tells you, "You did it! I know you did it! I know you. Tell me you did it, right?" The other guy, the good guy, comes around and says, "Hey, man, come on, leave him alone, man. Don't mind him. He had a bad day today, man. You want a cigarette? Hey, man, have a cigarette. You want a light? Have a light, man. You did it, didn't you?" So, they're both after the same thing. It's just two different approaches, right? So this poem has that kind of approach here. There are, in fact, four levels of narrative or voice here. Trembling torsos seeking peace be thrown about, spinal columns snapping drop. Say uncle! Say uncle! Say Sammy be good to you, man. Say Tio Sammy be good to you, man. Come on. Jugulars confess to prescribed deeds, linoleums be stained, precious body fluids drained while naked. Say uncle! Say uncle! Just say Sammy be good to you, man. Say Sammy be good to me, okay, Groins torn, electrified, plucked, labia devoured while rats bloat, celebrating demons crazy. Say uncle! Say uncle! Say, come on, man, this vato's getting angry, man. Just say Sammy be good to you, Tendril splinter as investments be secured. All carry precinct cards. Say uncle! Say uncle, hijo de tu. Say Sammy be good to you, man. Can't you tell this vato's getting really angry, man? Te va a cortar los huevos, man. Say Sammy be good to you. Pious mandrills bearing guns, gorillas toting ripped membranes on their teeth. Say uncle! Say uncle! Say Tio Sammy be good to you, man. Por lo que más quieras, este vato está cabrón, man. Say Sammy be good to you, man. ¿Qué te cuesta? Chaos serums pumped, injected way down south. Contrast, trapeze, apartheid, addiction. Say uncle! Say uncle! Say Sammy be good to you, man. ¿Qué te cuesta, man? A few little words. Say Sammy be good to you. Mercenaries abound and bodies prowl. Zombie uniforms, meantime, time be mean. Men and women struggle to be born. Say uncle, say uncle, say Sammy be good to you, man, say Sammy be good to you. Ya basta, penitentes we be not. There be no self-flagellation in this house. In this house we be ones to do whatever need be done. Say uncle, say uncle, say Sammy be good to you, man, come on, just say Sammy be good to you. Que se rinda tu madre, oyes, que se rinda tu madre. Aquí no effigies to mammon stand. Aquí no sanctity of banks prevail. Aquí all food is for all people. Aquí all people are armed. Aquí we live or die in struggle. No pasarán, no pasarán. The age of the new man is here. Aquí, the age of the new woman bears a gun to defend the newborn child. Nicaragua, ¿y qué? One more poem, one more poem. On the beach, this is on the beach. On the beach chair on the beach chair he thinking across the peaks, slushing, joshing, but not really, the snow be as much his as the sun mine. Borge, said I, and he thought Jorge Luis. Of course, the hummingbird sucks on, and the willow weeps, and Dylan is Bob, even though Thomas was and is a good poet. He lived off his agenda, while Tomas Borge, has his Hawkeye on the line, the borderline, yes, the grand little man, el comandante, poeta de la sierra, sandina tierra. I listen. Hablando se entiende la gente. Hablando se entiende la gente. True. So true. Premise, however, launched on talking, which implies a two-way arrow shot, put well, witty. Did anybody listen? Well, English is now the official language in California, Mr. Had to legislate it, pal. Aunque the flow brook cannot be adobe from adobe building blocks that construct houses, apple sheds, and ovens. In the southern west, or in the western south, as thee may play thy spool, we've gotten so, hermano, compadre, uniform parodies politic. The world is at hand like a harpsichord. Only the melody waits. Tom rhythms, blues, and crimsons. The light out the cave. Be weaponless. I must tell this story now, lest the house of lead and computers, pencil, ink, this sunset well, bring the water up, worry not. Suicide is no longer a personal choice. Transnational bargaining chips, transnational bargaining chips, chumps, chump change. Chumps, chump change. ¿Y nosotros qué? ¿Y nosotros qué? Pues nada. Pues nada, nadan, papier maché, paper, pauper, smash, as only bridges to sleep under, stated wealth and property right, maiden's red, título, árbol que vuela, vela, hamaca que conoce el rock más antiguo, mésese, la democracia, democracy can only be found in a Kellogg's cereal box prize, lotería, Malcolm X was the first víctima, Kennedy and King got it too as well, ni modo. El fascismo may have had more tentacles than anyone ever imagined. In Germany, in the US of A, it matured since the Hiroshima bomb in its banking pockets. This is not a critique in glyph or in spinach or olive oil or whale meat. Future shock chooses pesticides, Agent Orange in Wealth County. Here I sit on Pismo Hills, libélulas frolic, and he writes memos. Funding cowards, nah, not cowards, misguided, hungry, lost militaristic egos. He goes seeding death, and they, unemployed, unschooled, contras follow powder. The smell sweet, the bullet swift. Rooster burning, there be no dawn. Fall chopping, let us, cold cabbage, garbage, haul out. Winter nears, and the Chinese masses will not starve. He duck sits, plucking bleak pimple heads. Tinkerbell, be Star Wars. Yet I High noon, pistoled high plains, drift, draft, another draft. Wish Popeye was here in the harbor full of moths, hovering deceit and deception, prevailing as presidential prerogatives. Ronnie is really Peter Pan. And Nancy, Wendy. Gaddafi, Captain Hook. And the US of A, Never, Never Land. I wonder how Castro fits in this story. I personally think him an Ewok. My son says, no, Appa, it's Chewbacca. Who needs fantasy, sci-fi, or horror when the US is enough? I know, I got it. The USSR. Anathema, anathema. Muchas gracias. Chicano, Chicano, black, black, Asian, Asian, rainbow power, rainbow power, rainbow power, órale.
How many personas did you feel come out when he was reading his poetry, huh? I must have counted at least 3 or 5 of my own, right? But we need more personas como Alurista. We need more brothers and sisters to come out and give a message of nuestra cultura, to be able to move forward, give us our sense of pride and identity, and also to continue our struggle for liberation. Gracias, Alurista. I would like to introduce Kamal Daoud. He's an activist in the Free South African movement and in his community. He's a culture worker, a poet, a word musician. Kamal.
You know, on, let's see, what is it, July 17, 1967, John Coltrane left this plane. And that was my mother's birthday, and I was riding on a bus listening to spiritual, you know. And I cried, you know, I cried. And I was writing, I guess, what you call daffodil poems then, you know. And after having all these train solos down inside of me, I didn't know what to do with all this, you know. I mean, what am I going to do with all this inside me, you know? And then a few months after that, I was still in high school. I went and saw Amiri Baraka at this, I think it was a Black Congress building on Broadway in LA. And he got to reading these poems, you know. And these poems taught me something in that you can put a saxophone solo in the poetry. The poetry can definitely be a saxophone solo at the same kind of energy and the same kind of things, you know, because I never had the discipline to pick up a horn and just, you know, get what they call get over the hump and learn them scales and stuff like that. And so it was through that connection between Amiri Baraka and John Coltrane that really opened up a whole nother door for me and a whole mass of writers throughout this country. You know, this human being that I'm about to introduce, I feel, is important. And he's important because of what he seeks to do. You know, he talks about this thing that's called high speech. And high speech is that kind of speech that is embedded with this thing that's trying, that's striving, that's straining to lift us. You know, to lift us, to inspire us, to move, to change. Change. That's another thing I see in common with Train and Amiri Baraka. And also, I guess, another man who we give very little credit to, and that's Malcolm. You know, in terms of the ability to change. When you can find a man that can change himself, you know, you have found a jewel. And if you look at Trains from the various periods when he started off and he changed from this and changed from that and changed from this and changed from that and the thing was, even when it wasn't even popular at times to change, when Trains started going, "Ah!" when he started screaming and going, take stuff to another level and stuff like that, you know, a lot of people weren't comfortable with that change at that time. You know, he could have made a lot of money playing My Favorite Things over and over and over and over again. He could have. But he changed because there was something inside him. There was some perfection, something that he was reaching out for. And in the same thing with Malcolm. They always talk, they go, when the media talks about Malcolm today, they shoot straight to the time when he was a young minister in Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam, and he was preaching a certain kind of way. They don't talk about the evolution, the end of his life. They don't talk about that, you know. And it's the same thing with Amiri Baraka. I mean, if you read him from the so-called beatnik period all the way up to today, the various stages of his development, he changed publicly. You know, and that takes courage. That takes courage. So not only is he involved in words, he is involved in activism. So at this time, he is presently a professor at Afro-American Studies in Stony Brook. His leadership and activism in the community has spanned through the struggles of African liberation internationally. He is a leading member of the League of Revolutionary Struggle, author of over 50 books, plays, poetry, essays, short stories, criticism. At this time, I would like to bring up to the podium poet, novelist, social, music critic, playwright, educator, activist, Amiri Baraka.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I like to hear those introductions, man. I just come to these programs to hear the introductions. You know, the older I get, the better they sound, as a matter of fact. And also to my good friend Alurista, who sounds gooder and gooder, as I think. I think the time is coming back. No, I mean, we caught between fascism and trying to consolidate democracy and trying to go beyond democracy. We have to learn how to utilize bourgeois democracy to transcend it. People walking around talking about they don't want to deal with elections. Well, what you want to deal with? You know? We need to try to deal with this. We still got an unsettled score, you know, all of us. For black people, since the caste system is the way this class system is defined, specifically the darker you are, the worse off you are. You know, because finally they want to make us remember the defeat of Mother Africa. And also women, because the defeat of Mother Africa is always hooked with women, the creative process, the separation between form and content, between your mind and your behind. They're always trying to separate us. So this system, that's why they have us wearing the cross rather than the ankh. You know, they broke the head and the testicles. The head and the testicles are the same. They broke it off and have you wearing a cemetery symbol around your neck. I'm not putting down Christianity, but the symbolism. And I think that we know that we are being had. You know, I mean, the thing about Jesse Jackson, for instance, you know, they keep saying Jesse is not electable. Well, if he's not electable, it proves what Du Bois said, this is not a democracy. You understand? But I think we have to support that. I think we have to go to Atlanta, all of us. I think we have to go down to Atlanta and camp outside the joint, create an alternative convention. You know, we have to teach about electoral politics. How is it that you can have 250,000 more popular votes and still be losing the election? We got to find out that. We got to find out what the electoral college really is. You know what I mean? We got to find out why the state legislature controls the electoral college, you know. But you know, and I know that neither Dukakis, well, poor Dukakis is up there now clinching with Jesse. He's a professional fighter. Every time Jesse mentioned an issue, Dukakis clinches with him. He grabs him and says, you know, he says, well, that's right, that's right, you're right, yeah, you're right, you know. But then he'll jump out and he'll do 5 minutes of calisthenics. You know, when I was governor of Massachusetts, you know, make him look good. You know, Bush, well, you know that's not even possible. I mean, George Bush would I mean, he would die if he had to be with Jesse Jackson 5 minutes, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I saw Miss Dukakis talking about South Africa the other night. You know, that was refreshing too, you know? But all this is because Jesse Jackson has pushed them to the left. He's pushed them to the left. And see, what we have to understand is we've been here before 1876, the Hayes-Tilden Compromise. After we had got, you know, 40 acres and a mule, which we didn't get, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which they took away, all those civil rights measures which they took away, and then they gave us back. They gave the South back to the planters because we fought on the side of the Union. We was with the Americans. The white people in the South, they was against the Americans. Remember that? They was the Confederacy. They had their own president, their own flag, but they gave it back to them. See? Now this time, Super Tuesday, we voted. We have voted in cities all over this country. We said who we want. We have said not only the African-American people, but the Puerto Rican people, the Chicano people, the Asian people. We have voted completely who we want. Now you cannot go down to Atlanta and tell us Jesse Jackson don't merit nothing. See? He got to come out of there with something, and you ask me, well, you're a communist, why are you backing Jesse? He's not a communist, because the stuff is lower than that. We have to support the struggle for democracy in order to catalyze, to animate, to drive people towards revolutionary positions. Most people will never have revolutionary positions just because you say, revolution, 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 revolution. They will not. They will not. They have to find out from their own experience. They have to struggle to find out that it does not work. They have to have a black president, so we'll see that capitalism, even when a black president, does not work. But we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to do that, you see. We're going to have to go all the way through it. We got to go all the way through it. Make no mistake. Hey, man, and, you know, all of us here can list people who've died to push this forward. I was reading Du Bois' life story, started weeping the other night. My wife came in, what's wrong with you? I was crying like a baby. 90-year-old man, you know what I mean? What did he say? I have struggled for socialism all my life and for communism. And then he said, I will struggle for that as long as I live. And he says, and I still live. It's a 90-year-old man, you know. They say, there goes the most dangerous man in America. Old 90-year-old man, you know what I'm saying? He's with his cane and stuff, you know. Why? Because he said either America will admit black people on the basis of democracy, or America will cease to exist. It's a 90-year-old man. At 94 years old, Du Bois in Ghana, they took his passport. They was threatening him with 20 years in prison, $50,000 fine. Du Bois said, oh, you are jumping on people for being red? So he said, well, you've been jumping on me all my life for being black. Now you're going to jump on me for being red. He said, I am a communist. 94 years old. Check it out. When he went to China, he spoke before 1 million people, Tiananmen Square. Mao Zedong. And he came there and he says, I have no titles. I am not in the government. I have no honors. I come to speak to you as a nigger. 94 years old, see. Now you uphold that, see. You walk with that. You uphold that. You take that baton and run with it. See, that's heavyweight, you know. So I'm telling you, a lot of people have been out here struggling, and it's coming around again. You know what I'm saying? 1876, it's around again. When we get to Atlanta, the question is, what is going to happen? We know this is not a democracy. Was it a democracy on a slave ship? Did the Dred Scott decision signal that it was the democracy when you said we had no rights, that Americans had to think anything about? Was it democracy? Was it democracy in, in the plantations? When you destroyed the Reconstruction and disenfranchised us, when you created a caste system, was it a democracy? Was it a democracy even in 1965, when the Voting Rights Act, when you beat them people up in Selma and shamed yourself into passing the Voting Rights Act? Was it a democracy then? Is it a democracy now? Howard Beach with Tawana Brawley, is that a democracy? Tawana Brawley, they gonna accuse her of raping herself and painting SWAT stickers on herself. Tell you don't listen to Sharpton because his hairs count, It's not a democracy, never been a democracy. We gonna settle that in Atlanta. We got to go down to Atlanta and settle that. We got to go down there and settle that. Yeah. We got to go outside there and we say, no, you're not getting away with this. See, you Republicans did it before. See, now you Democrats, you're not getting away with this. We're not going to let you get away with this. Jesse Jackson, against all possible American rationalism, has backed you to the wall, and we're going here to claim it. Make him in charge of all the minorities. Get the vice president a gig. He never had nothing to do. Give him a gig. And for black people, fascism, we don't want to go back to fascism. We've been there. See, they tell you fascism began in Germany. No good. There's a book called The Economics of Barbarism by Kuczynski and Witt, international publishers. Hitler got his racial laws from the black codes. Once those democratic governments were established after the Civil War, the destruction of them constituted fascism. We've been to fascism. We ain't going back there. And you heard Reagan with Bitburg. His boy Patrick Buchanan went to Israel to defend them Janjuk, to do the just busted. That's Patrick Buchanan. He was over there in Israel defending an outright murderer. We're not going back there. But yet I was in Brooklyn College. Allen Ginsberg invited me there to read. And I said something about Jussie and about how the Middle Passage was our Holocaust, 100 million people. That's what Du Bois said. Du Bois is always conservative. Secretary said 400 million, So I go with the low figure, and I don't want to embarrass nobody saying we have 100 million, seemed to me, and there's enough folks that have said that. But like Jacques Romain, the Haitian poet, said, there is a railroad made of African bones at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Black ivory, black ivory. So there's a railroad made of African bones. Now you know whose bones those are. We paid for this. We paid for the South. We paid for these cities. The blacks, Chicanos, and Asians, the poor whites, we paid for this. The Native Americans ain't giving you nothing. Jesse Jackson say, if we were 3/5 of a human being in the Constitution, that meant somebody else must have been 7/5 of a human being. So you had the 7/5 and the 3/5. So every time you ask for something, they think you're taking something away from them to get the 5/5. We still with the 3/5. And the 7/5 talking about they want 9/5 now. Got to go to Atlanta. We got to construct some kind of alternate city. We got to have a march for peace and justice, for peace and democracy, for self-determination. We got to go down there and claim that, otherwise it's going to go backwards. See, you study the Weimar Republic. You all familiar with the Weimar Republic, the last democratic government before the Nazis? Check that out. Peter Gay got a book called Weimar Culture, so you can check how to art. You can check some of these mad people out there painting and writing this BS, and you'll know where they fit in with the, you know that. But in the end, when Hitler came in 1933, the Social Democrats and the Communists combined had more votes than Hitler. But they were out in the street fighting each other. See, they wouldn't make a united front. See, the Communists would say, well, we Communists, we can't join with y'all, y'all ain't nothing. Social Democrats said, well, we don't want to join with no Communists. Well, look, I'd join with you before I join with Reagan. If you say you want to fight Reagan, we can get together. That'll be our only connection. We can do that together. You can stay where you want to be, and I'll stay over here. You hit him over there, I hit him over here, but we be together. We might have to fight each other after he's gone. But we can get rid of him. You know what I mean? It's like a big dragon in your neighborhood. Before the human beings start boxing, let's get rid of the dragons. It's a poem to Reagan. It's called The Mind of the President. A lot of people object to that on technical grounds, you know. So you want to get this man a mind, he don't even have one. Yeah. Ma 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 da 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 ma 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 da 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 pee 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 ma ma da da pee 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 doo 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 mama dada pee pee doo doo mama dada pee pee doo doo wah 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 kill. Black Litany. You can't be the devil unless you're truly evil, ultimate evil, real evil, actual evil, evil est. Witness our world controlled by the devil. Lies and murder are wholly un. Hate pays, ignorance powerful, humanity endangered, its future existence uncertain. Evil is stronger than good. God is a slave, an ignorant, doomed savage. The devil is ruler of everything. Evil is supreme. So this is what hell is. These are poems. I started reading the Bible one time, you know. People kept beating me over the head with the Bible, so I said, I'm going to read this and try to check this out, you know. But it didn't really come out the way justice should exercise, this is called. The pen is mightier than the sword, but keep a sword handy or the devil could kill you and you never write a word. Exercise 1, word and sword differ only because the snake got in it. Exercise 2, on angels. Friedrich was one of the baddest, a German. He was definitely a communist. Originally, the Pygmies opposed metaphysics. No, this one's called Exercise 6, pray for information. The devil does not believe in evolution. It is his job to stop it. Exercise 7. Originally, pygmies opposed metaphysics. Good must be alive to exist. Life is good, evil destroys both naturally. Imagine what God would do faced with the devil, or how good would stop evil. Imagine it in the sky, the earth, here. Exercise 9. Real prophets, prophecies dangerous to super prophets. Prophesy resistance, prophesy motion, prophesy struggle, prophesy to people, prophesy change. I am a prophet of freedom. And these go on and on. Exercise 12. At first, everybody's mother was black. Everything's too, as is, exits ain't. Exercise 14. The devil had to make his boys kings so they could edit the Bible. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I was talking to him, I said, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You can't get no babies out of that. Got to be another one. That must have something to do with inheriting property, you know what I mean? Because it can't be the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It got to be the Father, the woman, and the copulation. That's what the Holy Ghost is. You know, the jazz got to get in that some kind of way. That's what jazz means, you know? That's what jazz means. Copulation, jism. That's what jazz means. It is ejaculation music. That's what it's called. That's where it comes from, jazz, jism. That's an African word. You know, so when you say the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, that's not true. It should be, you know, the mother, or the Father, the Son, the mother, the earth. You understand? And the copulation, which creates the child. See, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost is about property. You know what I mean? You know what property? You ever read Engel's book, Origin of Family, Private Property? You should check that out. It's a very heavy book. You know the difference between an ankh, for instance, when they break the head off it, is they break the head and the testicles off it to make the cross. So if you break the head and the testicles off a thing, you can only die, you know what I mean. If you get your head and your testicles broke off, there's nothing you can do but die. I mean, you know, you can't think, you know, you can't do anything. I mean, it's a terrible state, you know. Even if you could do something, you can't think of what it is. I Love Music, poem for John Coltrane. Begins with a quote from John. I want to be a force for real good. In other words, I know that they're bad forces, forces that bring suffering to others and misery to the world. But I want to be the opposite force. I want to be the force which is truly for good. Train said, a force for real good. Train, in other words, February 67. By July, he was dead. By July, he said, in other words, he wanted to be the opposite. But by July, he was dead. But he is offering expression, a love supreme, Afro blue in me, singing it all because of him can be, screaming beauty can be, Afro blue can be, you leave me breathless can be, Alabama, I want to talk about you, my favorite things like sunny can be, life itself, fire can be, heart explosion, soul explosion, brain explosion can be, deep, deep, deep expression, deep can be, capitalism dying can be, all see, full can be, empty too, nightfall by water, round moon over slums, shit in a dropper, soft face under fingertips, trembling can be trained because of train, because world can be, Shano, Casey and Ireland can be, Lucian in China can be, Breck, Whale and Gorky, Riffing, Langston, Hughes, Steeman can be, trained, Burrs, Maine, Man can be, Big Maybell can be, work out, expression, Ogunde, Afro Blue can be, all of it meaning, essence, revelation, everything together, wailing in unison, a terrible wholeness. Thank you. Abby and Duke. You know this beautiful tune of Duke Ellington's da da da? No, it's in a sentimental mood. I can see the stars come in my room. Wrote this Abby and Duke. From our memory of ourselves, we construct a portrait of the world. We can see all that must be seen to understand what needs to be understood. We can sing, can even dance, can even walk slow and cool, beset with the sun's gold, which naturally makes us glistening brown. Sunday is our day naturally. Sun people must have a day. And sun music would be Duke, say Abby together, a music match for Sunday. Think about it. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Rumbling chords and deep blue arias. Sunday match would describe our loves and history, would sow our pain in colors to contemplate inside the real cool, the real image persons, the poets of everyday conjure. And when we do sing, it's to recreate and create and hold on to and bring into the world. Are there evil niggas, you say? Of course, you are most familiar with them, ain't you? From how the paper spreads them out inside are errors like they were the flag and the race and the national genius, cunning betrayal. But a rumbling piano and a burring blue spoon span lovers' reach where you actually live inside this stunning, beautiful body y'all got. The rumbling piano, the softness, hey, sun browned us up for centuries. So the brown people, the black ones who have withstood and made do, when the smoke cleared, was still there, standing a little apart and humming. You could hear, if you were close enough, humming something. A rumbling, deep blue thing. You'd see the pain, the life, the staggering gorgeousness of us in this woman's lips and fantastic eyes. Sun music it would be for the sun people. Hot and blue-black in you, on you, stay away unless you dig being colored, deep-colored. Mind, body, soul, deep-colored. Black, brown, and beige. From the beautiful woman's lips, conjured from silence to sound by common royalty. Dangerous shit, Sunday music. Dangerous and powerful, this sun. From our memory of ourselves, we construct a portrait of the world. Black, blue, gold, and brown. Red and green. Life green and still growing. Still growing. Thank you. I wrote a letter, you know, I read, you know, one of our stars one time in Downbeat, which, you know, that's a bad habit if you read Downbeat, but I guess you have to try to stay up with even the ignorant folks, you know. And I wrote a letter, you know, this woman was putting down, you know, everybody that I was trying to dig. So I wrote a poem about it. And, you know, the guy, you know, since we don't have any institutions, since we don't control any institutions, you know what I mean? Since we don't control our children's education, then they kill each other out on the street, and we want to know, well, how come our children do that? And then the people tell us, well, they're messing up the schools. These children, these black and these Latino children, these Asian children, they're messing up the school. The children are not in charge of the schools. Adults in charge of the school. If you can't handle it, quit. See, if you tell me the children are running you around, get out of there. We are supposed to control those schools. If you don't control the schools, then don't be telling me you don't know what's wrong with your children. If you don't control your public school, you don't have no right to ask what's wrong with your children. That's what's wrong with your children. You don't control the public school. What institution do people control in this town? Not libraries, not museums, not radio, everything that creates opinion in the superstructure, publishing companies, art galleries, we control none of those. We will win formal democracy, like in the 50s, the civil rights movement. We will get Negro mayors. We got any black ones? We will get Negro mayors everywhere. We will get Negroes everywhere. We have wall-to-wall Negroes, like in Newark. We got wall-to-wall Negroes everywhere. Since 1970, we had Negroes. But if you do not control the institutions, the superstructure, what creates opinion, then they will force you backwards. You can win formal democracy, but they will force you backwards. They will teach you that what you did was stupid, that the 60s was bad, that your poetry stinks, that your music is backwards. They will not teach you about Malcolm X. They will teach you about Booker T. Washington and Clarence Pendleton. They will force you backwards. You must control the institutions that create opinion. Formal democracy is not enough unless you control the superstructure. It's true. So this is called the real construction. And this sister, I don't know if she'll ever get a chance to read this, because obviously Downbeat didn't publish it. Like I say, they wouldn't publish that. The real construction, new ways to swing. Don't put down new ways. Don't, Betty Boop, don't. Your shit ain't so fly you can talk down to new. New ways to swing, Chicago art, Albert's burnt message from the roof of Lincoln Center, Sterling Brown's old funk note amidst DC nigger socialites, amidst these social heavies who oppress the whole entire fucking world. New ways to swing, new truths to bring, new songs to sing. Don't put that down, Betty Bop. Half hip kitty cat scatter, carrying one half of Sassy's terrible arsenal. The other half was, after all, MF and terrible voice. New ways to swing, uncover to see the sun, bust out done plus speed. The corporations heap us in slowness. Run up the skull and crossbones, it says CBS, WRVR, trying to suck out our lives to get us in their bag. They throw it over our head and try to suffocate our dreams and fuck up our reality, make it something a balding executive can lose in his vest pocket. New ways to swing. We want to know new ways to swing, new songs to sing, new truths to bring, new challenges to fling, new hurts to sting, calling sense, consciousness, break out of Bootsy's brain fever jail, outrun roots, rags to riches, stale tale of the jivia parts of the nigger middle class, new ways to swing, calling sense, calling consciousness. Break out raghead George Jefferson white blues. The jockey with the ring in his nose is Reverend Young. We need a new song, a song that need to be sung. No, Betty B. Blip, don't put down the new. The tired shit you run is half hip because it was once all new except the lies and ties with all beginnings as we stand up in the dark and screw a light bulb at the mouth of the cave. A tired memory, Jimmy, put that down. Light is evil, they said, in their darkness, and cars is too. Dracula slobbering on our art books and even recording music for us to dig. Jimmy Carter had a bunch of hip lights dimmed by his corn and murder. Salt peanuts on the White House lawn is the end of that era, and the era men and women who walk with it faded into the past, and even some new dudes only got missed because they just didn't need them or know them. But they time will come to prove whether they in the past or the future. The present is always in contention. New ways to swing, say it, sing it. Bloom Dito, baby, Sunday morning cool. Bloom Dito among the murderers and Clacto Vita's theme too. Bird, monk, diz, then with the sun rising on the horizon. Heat to come, baby, heat and heat. Smoke, sizzling, blues to come. The tradition of the new consciousness, unable to be beat back. And when the body snatchers came and tried to tell us our fire was cool, then Max and Clifford, Horace and Art Blakey told them their ass was loose, and Sonny Rollins buried them under a ton of honk calypsos. New ways to swing, new eyes to see, yeah, prayers, new things to be. No, Bob Betty, don't put down the rest of life yet to come, cause you got 2 or 3 notes you can hit with some halfway swinging shit. New truths to tell, new understanding and direction to gel, new tyrants to quell. No, Betty Bebop, don't put down what is coming into existence, otherwise you will be going out of existence. New ways to swing, new songs to sing, new eyes to see, new lives to be. So Ornette and Cecil and Train's majestic wings hatched New funky suns rising in our world. We have Pharaoh returned to dance us into tomorrow, and Sun Ra plugged us into the new energy electricity. Don't stand in the dark and plays blindness. Deal with the new, it's hard, yeah. Frankenstein running shit for Dracula, trying to turn even the new into vomit rocks of dumbness. It's hard. The world's an open blast of changing energy, but we need new ways to see, new constructs to raise us all, new life, new heart, new strength, new direction. Don't kill us with tired competence and repeats and covers and replays of stuff what was hip and new. We need what is now hip and now new, which could be old if it's sung right, could be ancient if it flung bright, and people tough against the dangerous bloody knives with the dying rulers. No Betty Blam against the stirring thrust of what I am. Don't put down the lifeblood of us all, the creativity of the world. We look at everything dialectically, break it in two, look for the bad, search for the good, discard one, use the other, but don't put down the new. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Do it again, you're right. Boom, boom, boom. I felt sad when I looked at you and thought one day we'll both be dead. July 25th, 1979, 12:40 a.m. Amina. Ooh, 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 da, e blue day. Reports coming in through cloud bluedom. Ooh, ooh, she do, repeat, oh, beep, bop. Falling like a sheath of cold days, drowning in dead unopened dreams. Ooh, 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 delia, ya boom, ra, ba, 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 e, da, da. Like opened up could come, straightness. Talking, ooh, 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 like calm, it could come to anything. Battering, crazy rhythm slopes in air. Out your mouth erupts new music, zoot sudarudi. Markers stalk Europe's madness. Drafted to play tenor saxophone between jail stints. Budal Yadu, Hymn to the Orient starring John Wayne and Metro, Bloomdido Rising, Mars Ascendant, plus a recording band, a deck of Luckies in his mitt. What's the flag of your country look like? Sitting in a slum with niggas so frustrated and mean they throw little white girls in front of oncoming trains, cut off left hands twitching on the track, mad place, cocaine in Club 54, chortling, mama, mama, screaming as the train rests over her, I gotta go to college. Conflict of conflicting dreams. Our lives designed by money freaks, katudu, katau, oilies, rida, blifu, could tell you the saga duru of the oilies, rabba bebop. Turn you to dirt, to garbage shit before you turn you to murdering for gasoline, turn you to screaming neurotics, shivering catatonics, pornography consumers, waste, as do can see the fleas inside your bebop knees. Baby, here in the center of the target, the red center pulse of terror, magicless reality could turn you to, one splits into two, could burn you through, purple white laser hot, bathe your purpose from bebop glasses and berets to Stephen Dedalus of the South Side, to Barney Google's Sabu sidekick, skin popping for the sake of the economy, to the man who would be King Kong, nights in Tunisia, Kukumap, whose head was a diamond big as the Ritz, who discovered layers of idealism and mistook them for who lost it, feet pointing, footprints, bootless sage returned in a shitty idea by a designer whose name you wear under your eyelids, who broke out to broke in, broken like a sick lost bird. I heard of you during those years. You was Yul Brynner and refused to celebrate Christmas. And the hosts of Ghosts and Liars for the Cause collected make it clear you felt oppressed and used, fucked with by the world, by the runners and rulers, by white people and some niggas too. Inside a horn player runs it, bleed do ya, blue bleed do you, roo dee dee dee, wahada 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 da da da. Scramble like an airplane driver, asleep at the switch, like a censored, like kneeling compromisers in love with people they know are not perfect. Can you live with that? Even though you could both rise up higher and hold your head up, struggling to change yourself, and the world grows inside and outside self, thoughts cut off from reality, subjectivism, selfishness from the same root. Life is defined in the world. What you do is real and exact. Your description, like the slice of music smoking through your brain, we'll see the world erupt, and happiness wrung from blood. Thank you. I know I'm supposed to answer some questions, I thought, and I've got the flu, so I don't want to get so I can't, but wait a minute now, wait a minute. Let's look at this here. This is a poem I wrote in 1984 called Real Song is a Dangerous Number. And this is really about cultural workers, you know? Because cultural workers are very important. You know, I remember when Stevie Wonder was getting all them Grammys. And, you know, Stevie Wonder, he got a little obnoxious. He started singing about reality, you know? Oh, Jesus. Can't have that. So then they brought in Michael Jackson. Then Michael got greedy, won all the money. As long as he was just sitting in a dead box and stuff, they was cool. But they want to get all that money. So they replaced him with Boy George. That didn't work, so they brought in the little guy that bounces up and down. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Little Prince. A little suburban Negro. I see him dancing, you know. So cultural workers have an enormous amount of power. So power in the sense that they can influence you, you know. The OJs, when they started coming on talking about money, 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 money. You remember that? Talking about the whole world's controlled by 16 people. Remember that? They got rid of that. They told them, look, man, y'all had to cut that out now. Even Bruce Springsteen, they was calling him the boss. We know Joe Turner's the boss, but they was calling Bruce Springsteen the boss, you know, trying to make you mad at him, because he was trying to sing some real stuff. Going to killing yellow people for white people and all that kind of stuff he was singing about. But they told him, look, Bruce, you know, you better cool out. This is called Real Song is a Dangerous Number. For Amina, Nina, Gratian, Abdul, and Akita. I am Johnny Ace. Accidental suicide from Russian roulette. Maybe my name is Sam Cooke. Dead in a room by an unknown hand. I could be Otis Redding. Airplane sunk at the dock of the bay. You might know me as Teddy Pendergrass, smashed half flat, they say, with a queen. Cripple now, but off the scene. Marvin Gaye, my old man, took me away. Bob Marley was my name in Jam Down. Cancer shot up through my toe. Redemption song be heard no more. If I was white, they'd call me Lennon. Blasted flat by a crazy man. Don't make no deal, you get killed. Your voice too strong, your charisma too long. The rhythm of your image hotter than napalm. But I could be a poet named Larry Neal or Henry Dumas. For the very same reason, I could also get killed. Word to the wise. A word to the wise. Let me see what I can read here. I just do this to try to thrill myself into reading something I haven't looked at in a long time. There's class struggle in all things, and in music, like everything else, class struggle. In music, it's a struggle between those who understand that the music is an expression of the whole people and their experience, that blues is not a style, that the creators of the blues have the actual blues, you know, and that the people who think it's a style will never be able to play the blues. because the blues is an actual emotional situation. I have the blues. You know what I mean? When I think about my life in America, boy, I have the blues. It ain't no style. You know, I mean, it be blue. As opposed to those people, you know, who want to get rich or who want to tail Europe. It's called class struggle in music. What is the emotion? You know, this goes with, I always do these things with music. This goes with Mysterioso, you know. Boom, dum, 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 dum. Class struggle in music, 1. What is the emotion? What is the feeling? Who are it feeling? Are it a humming? Flashes like flags waving, Reagan raving. Day flashes like trees waving, Dr. Faustus craving. What is the emotion? What is its opposite? Who are it? It feeling, it understanding, it a knave, a savant of the unreal, it reaching, it unteaching, it equivocating, like distant enemy marches, but yourself. Liking as, like distant national marches, but yourself, like yourself, it. And it, again, it. What is the emotion? A trembling, a drugstore, a scholarship in snow, a bird, 16th notes, alterations of the negative. We are thinking Band-Aids, brain damage, commerce, inner openings, trance, lights, Cockney killing echoes, racist drag queens, electric training, crashes, and it. A wither of jungle, a dance, a ocean and an ocean, bilingual disputes. It. What is the emotion? It. Nigger Frankensteins, nigger killer scum. It. And the rest of us somehow anyway. What is the emotion? Overpowering, general of all it over that your voice could make alone to top the others. Gentle, lyric, wafting, morning song, not it, you. Not any other. What is the emotion? Not the colonized Mercedes in heat, briefcases, ties, words arranged by picture window wrote. Our emotion, not its. Not the witch training. Not the denials of self and family. Not the isolated dead corpse Negro accepting the hating cup of Cortez asshole hat wearers. But the us emotion. The love emotion, the love, heat, snowball, heat, movement, yeah, life, vitality, beat, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, yeah, that end, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, that is the emotion. The us emotion, the love emotion, the heat emotion, boom, boopa doopa doom, 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 yeah, that one. Boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, boom, boopa doopa doom, we, us, I. We, us, I, a blues emotion, a black country nigger emotion, a steel blue blues city thing, a factory girder reflection emotion, an assembly line thing, a love heat, and we, us, I, a love beat, and we, us, I, eyes, seas, blue us, blue wees, blue ooze, a boom, ba ba da ba dum, 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 that one. A boom, ba ba da ba dum, 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 a boom. Thank you. I'm going to end with this poem. I want to end with this poem. This really to, I guess now, to Jesse, because it says, for Black Arthur Blythe, who was from L.A., I thought, he's my man. And this thing we do is called, in the tradition, we do this a long poem. We do it with a, I usually I have a group called Blue Arc. And it begins with a work song, Take this ham. No, it begins with African drums. says, not a white shadow, but black people will be victorious. Then we go into a work song, you know. Boom, take this hammer, boom, take it to the Camden, take it to the Camden. Tell him I'm gone. Blues walk, weeps ragtime. Painting slavery. Women laid around working feverishly for slave master Romeos, as if in ragtime they spill their origins like chillers. Lost chillin' in the streets to be telephoned to by Huggy Bear from Channel 7. For the white shadow gives advice on how to hold our homes together. Tampian tu, Chicano hermano. Genius Benny Goodman, headmaster, philanthropist Romeos, but must coach, cannot shoot. Hey coach, trembling fate wrapped in flags. Hey coach, you can hug this while you at it, coach. Women become goyles, gals, grinning in the face of his no light. Men become boys and slimy roosters, crowing Negroes in love with dressed up pimp stupidity death. Hey, coach, you want to outlaw the dunk? Cannot deal with Skyman Darrell or double-dipping hip doctors deadly in flight. Cannot deal with Magic or Kareem. Hey, coach, bench yourself in the garbage can of history, oh new imperial dog. Denying with lion images our strength in African funky beauty. No matter the three networks, idiot chatter, Arthur Blythe says it in the tradition. Then I say, come back, baby. Baby, please don't go. 'Cause the way I love you, baby, you never know. So come back, baby, let's talk it over one more time. Tradition of Douglas, of David Walker, Garnett, Turner, Tubman, of rages, rages. Of kings and counts and dukes, of satchel mouths and sunrise, of Bessies and Billies and Sassies and Ma's musical screaming niggas, yeah. Tradition of Brown Wells and Brown Sterling and Brown Clifford, of H. Rap and H. Box, Black Baltimore Sister Blues anti-slavery singers, countless funky blind folks and one-leg country beboppers, bottlenecking the guitar neck dudes, whispering, thrashing, cakewalking, raging, ladies and gents, get down folks, elegant as skywriting. Tradition of Du Bois, Baby Dodds, and Lovey Austin, Sojourner. I thought I heard Buddy Bolden say, you terrible, you awful, Lester, why do you want to be the president of all this? Of the blues and slow sideways horn. Tradition of blue presidents locked up in the brig for wearing zoot suit army pants. Tradition of monks and outside dudes, of Mary Lou's and notes hung vibrating blue, just beyond, just after, just before, just faster, just slowly, twilight crazier than Europe or its racist children. Dee-doo-dee, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Arthur. Tradition of shooters and silver fast dribblers of real fancy motherfuckers. Fancy as birds flight. Sunward, high, 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 sunward, arcs, swoops, spirals. In the tradition, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, 32nd, 64th, 128 silver blue presidents. Of Langston and Langston manifestos. Tell us again about the Negro artists and the racial mountain so we will not be Negro artists. McKay Banjos and Holmes and Harlem, Blue Black Boys and Little Richard Wrights, traditional for my people Margaret Walker and David Walker and Junior Walker and Walker Smith, Sweet Ray Leonard, rocking in rhythm with musical dukes. What is this tradition based on? We Blue Black wards struggling against a big white fog. Africa people, our fingerprints are everywhere on you, America. Our fingerprints are everywhere. Cesare told you that. Our family strewn around the world has made more parts of that world blue and funky, cooler, flashier, hotter, Afro-Cuban, James Brownier, a wide Pan-African world. Though we are Afro-Americans, African-Americans, let the geographic history of our flaming hatchet motion, hot axe motion, hammer and hatchet, our cotton history, our rum and indigo sugarcane history. Yet in a casual gesture, if it's talk you want, we can say, Césaire, Damas, Depestre, Romaine, Guillen, you want Shaka, Askia, and Roland Snellings too? Mandingo, Nzinga, you want us to drop Cleopatra on you or Hannibal? What are you, masochists? Paper, iron, chemistry, and smelting? I ain't even mentioned Tucson or Dessalines or Robeson or Ngugi, ha? You bloody and days, scream at me to stop. You know how you think it's over. Tradition song, tradition poem, poem for us together, poem for Arthur Blythe who told us again in the tradition of life and dying, in the tradition of those clanned and chained and lynched and shockleyed and NAACP'd and Ralph Bunched. Ha! Ba-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, be-doo-doo-nee, be-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. You rise a little. I mentioned we also the tradition of Amos and Andy. Hypnotized, selling us out Vernons and Hooks and other nigger crooks of Gibsons and Crouches and other assorted louses of niggas that turn from gold to shit, proving dialectics Muhammad Ali style. But just as you rise up to gloat, I scream, Coltrane, Stevie Wonder, Malcolm X, Albert Ayler, the Black Arch shit, and whistling out of my Nkrumah Cabral, Fanon, Sweep, I cry, Fletcher Henderson, Kane, what did I do to be so black and blue? The most perfect couplet in the language, I scream, Mood Indigo, Black Bolshevik, Coco, now's the time, Arc of Bones, Lonely Woman, Ghost of Love Supreme, Walking Straight, No Chaser. In the tradition of life and dying, centuries of beautiful women crying, in the tradition of screamed ape music, coon hollers, shouts even more profound than its gorgeous sound, in the tradition of all us, in an unending, everywhere at the same time line, in motion forever, like the hip Chicago poet Amos Moore, like the art ensemble, like Miles, Venus de Milo, and Horace Silver reminding us, and Art Blakey sending us messages, black, brown, and beige people, and Pharaoh old and new blood brotherhoods all over the planet, land songs, land poems, land sculptures and paintings, land niggas want, still want, will get land. In the tradition of all of us in the positive aspect, all of our positive selves, cut Zora Neale and me and a bunch of other folks in half, my brothers and sisters in the tradition, Vincent Smith and John Biggers, color mad dudes, Elizabeth Catlett and White Charles and William, Bob Thompson, Overstreet in the 60s, muralists, Jake Lawrence and Aaron Douglas and Adi Mola, Babatunde building more stately mansions. Today, they know, we are the composers, racists, and gun bearers. We are the artists. Don't tell me shit about a tradition of deadness and capitulation, of slave masters sipping tea in the parlor while we bleed to death in the fields. Tradition of C.C. Ryder, see what you done done. Don't tell me shit about the tradition of slave masters and Henry James. I know about it up to my asshole in it. Don't tell me shit about Bach or Mozart or even half nigger Beethoven. Get out of Europe. Come out of Europe if you can. Cancel on the English departments. This is America. North, this is America. Where's your American music? George Washington won the war. Where's your American culture? Southern agrarians, academic Aryans, Penn Warrens and Wilburs. Say something American if you dare, if you can. Where's your American music? Nigger music? Like Englishmen talking about Great Britain. Stop with tongues lapped on their cravats. You put the Irish on them. Say, shit man, you mean Irish. Irish literature. When they say about that, you say, nay, you mean Irish. Irish literature. You mean for the last century? You mean when you scream, you say, nay. You mean Yeats, Songe, Shaw, Wilde, Joyce. Okay, see, Beckett, them is nay, them is Irish. They's Irish. Irish as the IRA. You mean nigger music? Don't hide in Europe. Well, that's classical. Come to this country, nigger music. You better go up in Appalachia and get some mountains, some coal mining songs. You better go down south in our land and talk to the Anglo-American national minority. They could fetch up a song or two. Country and Western could save you from looking like saps before the world. Otherwise, Palante, Latino, Native American, bomba, plena, salsa, rain dance, war dance, magical invective, the Latin tinge, Cherokee, Sonny Rollins with Clifford Brown, Diz and Machito, Amongo, Santa Maria. Coming, world saxophone quartet you cannot stand up against. Don't 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 don't. Hell no, I ain't going to Afghanistan. Leon Thomas, me and you old pygmies you cannot stand up against. No black author telling you like Blue Turhan Bay, Odessa. Romance can bloom even here in white racist land. It can bloom as beautiful, though flawed by our oppression. It can bloom in the tradition of revolution, Renaissance, negritude, blackness, negrismo, indigisme sounding niggas, Swahili speaking niggas in turbans, the RNA and APP and APRP and cap blacks, and assembly line, turpentine, mighty fine, female blacks, and cooks, truck drivers, coal miners, small farmers, iron, steel, and hospital workers, in the tradition of us, the reality, not us, the narrow fantasy, in the tradition of African American black people. America, nigga music's almost all you got. Yes. And you find it much too hot. In the tradition, thank you, author, for playing and saying, remind us how deep, how old, how black, how sweet, how we is and bees. When we remember, when we are our memory as the projection of what it is evolving in struggle, in passion and pain, we become our sweet black selves once again. In the tradition, in the African American tradition, open us, yet bind us, let all that is positive find us. We go into the future carrying a world of blackness, yet we have been in the world, and we have gained all of what there is and was. Since the highest expression of the world is its total, and the universal is the entire collection of particulars, ours is one particular, one tradition of love and suffering, truth over lies, and now we find ourselves in chains. The tradition says plainly to us, fight, that's in it clearly. We are not meant to be slaves. It is a detour we have gone through and about to come out. In the tradition of gorgeous Africa, blackness says to us, fight, it's all right, you beautiful as night. The tradition, thank you, Langston author, says sing, says fight. In the tradition, always clarifying, always new and centuries old, says sing, fight, sing, fight, sing, fight, sing, fight. Death to the Klan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Am I supposed to answer questions?
Thank you, Amiri. Clearly the time has come. Time is coming for us to settle that score. Cultural workers clearly have a very powerful role to play. We need to forge unity among the Black and Chicano movement and all working people. We can learn from one another's culture, struggle, and move forward in our movement in the spirit of unity. Thank you, Amiri. I want to make a few announcements. Amiri has, in the latest issue of Forward, on the Jackson election, Jesse 88, he has personal insights and conversations with Jesse Jackson, spanning 25 years struggle for justice and equality. In this new issue of Forward, there's an exclusive interview done with Congressman Mickey Leland of Texas from the co-chair of the Jackson campaign, and also with Tony Anaya, the former governor of New Mexico. The newest issue of Forward, which is a socialist journal of socialist thought, is on sale at the back. Amiri has also asked me to mention that the League of Revolutionary Struggles will be sponsoring study groups on Marxism. If you'd like to find out more about what Marxism is, there are persons in the back with clipboards. Sign up. Just last announcements, there's a literature table in the back. Alurista will be signing, doing autographs for anyone who'd like to purchase his book at the back. I'd like to make an announcement regarding the delegate caucuses happening May 1st. Anyone who'd like to go out and support Jesse Jackson delegates, I know there's persons in the audience who are running as delegates. I was gonna ask you to stand, but it'd be kind of hard. Maybe you could wave your arms like that. It would be really important for us to support our delegates for the Democratic Convention in Atlanta.
Bring them up so we can meet them. Doesn't come up so we can meet them.
Yeah, possibly that'd be a great idea. How about if the delegates who are running, maybe if you can step forward up here. Don't be shy, come on all. There's a table in the back, a Jesse Jackson table in the back. Perhaps you could meet your delegates back there for your congressional districts. I'd like to give an important announcement. Jesse Jackson is going to have his first, excuse me folks, Jesse Jackson is going to make his first appearance in Los Angeles in East LA Community College on, let me get this right, May 6th, 5 o'clock at the football stadium. It's free. Everyone here should really commit not only for themselves getting out there, but taking 5 other people. The media has really put out that Jackson is losing, but we got to show him different so that we can go out and win the June primaries. Before concluding, I'd like to give a special thanks to Kaz Higas from LACC Art Department. To George Umisawa, and also to Professor Yaki for their support. This wraps up our program, everybody. I'd like to thank you once again on behalf of Unity Newspaper, Black Nation, and the LACC Art Department. You're welcome for refreshments and the literature table. Thank you.